All right, so I'm going to show you guys how to do a windrows. Okay, that shows you the direction and intensity or velocity of the wind coming in from different directions at a particular location. Now, I kind of forget where we chose. Los Angeles International Airport, I think, is where we're pulling this from. So let's go to the Ladybug menu. And give me a moment to remember where it is. I think it's under environmental analysis. Not view rows. Visualize weather data. Here we go. All right. Guys, do I need to give you a minute? No? Okay. All right. So it's under visualize weather data. And it's this one right here called Ladybug Windrows. I think. Anyway, so what's cool about this is that all of this stuff kind of runs off of the same information in a way. Wait, hang on. This one looks different. Input a vector to be used as true north. That looks different. I am. But hang on. All right, guys, so I just got refamiliarized. All right, so here's what you have to do. There's a lot of stuff on this panel that is not really important. Check out that README just in case. A lot of these things will have README messages, and you just plug in a panel, it'll tell you what to do. But with this one, we're going to need three things. Let's do what it told us to do, and let's set a toggle for run it. This is important because when it's set to off, it won't run every time. When it's set to true, it will run every time you make a change. So we plug this in, and then you can double-click it, and it'll say true to run it, but it gives us an error because obviously we haven't given it any weather data. So in learning how this thing functions, what you need to look at is this right here. This is your key. It's your gateway to all of the information that's being produced by your EPW file. So it'll show you latitude, location, dry bulb temperature, dew point temperature, wind speed, wind direction, right? Ringing a bell, wind rows, so you're going to need those. And then it has a bunch of radiation, a bunch of illuminance, and then it has some like sky coverage stuff. So this tells you that you're not going to need every single connection for every single function, obviously. Especially considering the sun angle one, all we needed to plug in was the location. That's it. So this one, what it's asking you for is a couple different things. But most notably, these two right here, hourly wind direction and hourly wind speed. That's very important. When it says hourly, what it's asking you for is the wind speed at all hours throughout the year. So notice how we have 8,767 values. It doesn't read all of those, but actually, how many hours are there in a year? Let's see how close this is. 8,760. And so what we see here is 8,767. That 7 is this stuff at the top. Okay? That's just, call it administrative data. That's everything that you don't need in this. And so the process will start from the data itself. You don't have to tell it where to pull the data from. So we're going to take wind speed and plug it into hourly wind speed. And then we're going to take wind direction and plug it into hourly wind direction. It'll take a minute, as these things usually do. There goes. So here's your windrows. What it's telling you is that most of the wind in this area is coming from, well, I mean, it comes from all directions, but the highest velocity winds are coming from the west and west-southwest direction. So you can use this to design blockages in your building to guard from high intensity winds in that direction, or to utilize it for exhaust reasons.
So what do you consider high? Sort of like the yellow bar or the blue bar? The red bar?
Well, so there's another element to this. One thing that Grasshopper and Ladybug does is it calibrates this. And so it's not going to show you any legend magnitude that's greater than the data actually has. So at some point in that data, there is a 14.4 meters per second wind velocity. But when you look at the diagram, you can't even really see it. In fact, you have to zoom in really, really close here to see that velocity. And all of the orange is smashed in there too. So what does that tell you? It tells you that very, very infrequently does the wind velocity ever get up that high. Okay, so when you look at the overall diagram, most of it is in the light blue to light greenish range. And if you look over here, that's going to be 4.32 to 5.76, right? Which is pretty moderate in terms of wind intensity. Let's look at it this way, and I don't really know meters per second to miles per hour, but let's check. Let's do 4.32 meters to miles per hour. So that's only 9.6 miles per hour, which is pretty low. Yeah, that's pretty low. 9.6 miles per hour. Okay? So that's how you can tell. And if you wanted to go up to 14.4, 32. So that's a windy day. Let's look at...
So how do you check what people, like students talk about you?
What's that?
How do you check rate my professor?
No, we're recording right now, by the way. All right. So anyway, so let's finish this up, and then we can sidebar a few things. But so the windrose is it functions the same way as any other diagram that you generate. So it does have a bake function. It's right here. It follows the same sort of format. So a 1 is going to bake it out, and it says that it easily exports to PDF. And I think that 1 is the one that you'll want. I'm not going to run that right now. I'll do that offline in case it crashes. But yeah, that's how you do it. Now, one other thing that I want to point out is legend par. That's really important because you can change the colors of the gradient to match your particular yeah, like to match what am I trying to say? Like your presentation aesthetic, right? You know, typically you're going to have some sort of colorization strategy to how you present your material, or at least eventually you will. But that's how you're going to change it. If I recall correctly, we should be able to just drop a gradient on there, and it should recalibrate. Assuming these are set to default values of 0 and 100. Yeah, this thing is really acting up. I need to give it a parameter value. Let's see. We need a lower limit and an upper limit, and that should match the boundary of these values. So let's see. Wind speed is going to be magnitude based. So let's go to domain. We're going to do bounds. We're going to grab wind speed. Sorry, not that. We're going to deconstruct domain. There we go. Wind speed. What? Oh, that's right. I need to get rid of first couple things. You know what? We should probably just do this as a separate thing. Anyway, for your purposes here in design, you're not going to have to change this, most likely. If you do need to or want to, in that video series I showed you, you can find it there. And it'll show you. It's a really quick, just a couple of things that are going to calibrate the gradient here that we don't really have time for today. Questions? No questions? Okay.